الحمد لله وكفى والصلاة والسلام على من اجتبى وآله وصحبه ومن والاه. وبعد, to proceed, as you can see that we're preoccupied with our lessons and classes. We're busy with our schedule. However, we've noticed an increase from time to time, especially online, the increase of Western speakers who speak under the name of Islam with the panels of discussions that they have now and the podcasts where they talk about Salafiyya, Salafism and Salafiyun, and even it reaches to a level where some of them, they use these panels and podcasts to make mockery and ridicule of the Salafiyun. And this is something that brings attention for anyone that has concern for the methodology for those early generations and for this deen in particular, that we cannot remain silent while Salafiyya is under the attack. This religion, those pious predecessors that done and gave up so much for this deen, to find that people have come and just give them labels, or people that ascribe to this methodology as the bid'ah police, or they give them titles and labels as they're extremist or Wahhabist, or they're the source of Daesh. All these fake titles and false allegations, it requires a clarification from ourselves. And this is very incumbent that we clarify. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَا يَأْتُونَكَ بِمَثَلٍ إِلَّا جِئْنَاكَ بِالْحَقِّ وَأَحْسَنَ تَفْسِيرًا. They do not come with a similitude of doubts and things to bring doubt upon what you are upon, except that we come with the truth and a better explanation thereof. So from this perspective, we clarify. Ad-Deen Nasiha, religion is sincere advice. There's no one exempted, especially when an error is made in public and you find this increasing, and it became the joke of their podcasts, speaking about Salafis, or displaying them, as they say, the conservatives, or the fake sheikhs, so on and so forth, of the titles that they had given. So this is very important that we clarify that there are great ulama who had these titles and ascribed to it. It's not befitting for anyone to come now and to make this the subject of his podcast to make fun of. And this comes from how our scholars advise. Sheikh Muhammad bin Salih Uthaymin, when he was asked about refuting and making these clarifications, he said if there's a need for it, it is must that it be done. And I'll play here as these words that I've mentioned.
بحيث يكون شخص أعلن في شريط شيئا باطلا لا بد من بيانه، هذا لا بد من نشره، لا بد من نشر الرد.
So the Sheikh Muhammad Salih Al-Uthaymin, he clarifies when there's a refutation needed where there is someone that spoke with words that were not correct, a falsehood, publicly, then it's must that someone propagates or distributes words as a rebuttal to that. This is our deen. That even Sheikh bin Baz, that prominent scholar, he said these words. He clarified of this meaning. Here I'll play these words of Sheikh bin Baz, rahimahullah. So Sheikh bin Baz, rahimahullah, as you can hear, he says, whoever makes apparent and manifests from his statements and actions that which is wrong or innovations, then it becomes permissible to openly speak about this evil that he has done. He said no matter what the situation is, if there's a bid'ah or an evil, then it's permissible. And we find proofs for that. We find that as the origin. So this is not done to degrade anyone or out of tashahi, personal revenge, but just to make sure that the truth stays the truth and falsehood stays the falsehood. So when this is done from this perspective, is legislated. And from these people that I want to speak about in particular, that I've noticed in recent times, they've had these panels and open discussions from their du'ats, is the organization ICNA and ISNA, where them and their du'ats have continued to have these sessions where they make fun of those who ascribe to Salafiyah. And this is not something that is new from them. It has something happened long ago. If you read their history and their establishment, you find that these people have been waging war at Salafiyah from the very first day of their establishment. I'll read here just something brief, just to show how these people have started. We'll start with ICNA. ICNA, this well-known da'wah organization established in America, we see that they're found in many parts of America, and their channels of da'wah reach all over the globe. And they have a high level following. But let's see how these people started. When these people started, they originally started in 1971 as a small group influenced by Abu A'la al-Mawdudi, and of the Muslim Brotherhood movement in Pakistan, the leader of them, a man who we know that he was not someone that held many of the aqidah or many of the methodology of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. He had much errors. We'll just here listen to these words of Shaykh Mubin rahimahullah in brief to clarify who was this man that these people were inspired of making a group by.
أبو أعلى الموجودي هو الظاهر أن به شيئا من التشيع وهو يعتبر من أئمة البدع.
So Shaykh Mubin rahimahullah was asked of Abu A'la al-Mawdudi, who was one of the main callers to the Muslim Brotherhood movement in that region of Pakistan and elsewhere. Was he from the A'immatul Muslimin, the Imams of the Muslims? So Shaykh responded by saying, what's apparent is that he had the inclination of Shi'ism. And he said what's as well manifested is that he was from the Imams of the people of innovation. The people who were leaders in innovation. So that's the question that was presented, and this is just how they originated. They originated as their first name, ICNA, was Halaqa al-Ahbabi or Halaqa al-Islami, circles that are Islamic. Their first member or first founding president and leader was a man named Talat Sultan. And this man was, up until now, he's inspired and he respects Abu A'la al-Mawdudi. And we're just going to hear just what ICNA has said regarding their history, even attest to this.
The Islamic Circle of North America was founded in September 1968. This is one of the largest national Muslim organization at this time.
So they started here, as the person has said, 1968 as beginning with their inclination with Abu A'la al-Mawdudi. Then after that, they formed ICNA in 1971. And from what they used to do with their groups is that they used to make people, before they can join them, they would have to sign a pledge. And here it's a pamphlet before me where you would have to say for membership form that I agree with the aqidah and methodology and program of Islamic Circle of North America. And I promise to cooperate in the struggle. And I shall seek to practice Islam in my life. And may Allah enable me to fulfill this pledge. Ameen. So you would fulfill it. And from what they've mentioned is that you would have to become a member, you would have to struggle to the methodology of ICNA and sign a pledge to it. So this is how they first started and increasing. Then in the year 1993, they joined with another organization that was well known from the Muslim Brotherhood called MAS, and Muslim Association. Around that one was a founder by a man named Jamal al-Badawi, who was an intellectualist and a great figure of the Ikhwan Muslimin figure in America. So they joined forces with them. And even up until now, if you see, in many of their conventions, they're called MAS ICNA, together, aligned with the Muslim Brotherhood. As well, they attained popularity by speaking about, with enthusiasm, the Palestinian issue, and also the issue about Hamas. So they got a lot of following by taking the people's emotions and diving into the issue of even collecting funds. They did a lot of funds, and even it's been said that some of those funds, Allah knows best, perhaps was collected for Hamas because of the way they were supporting them. So Allah knows best, but these things were pointing to that. The Qara'in indicates to that. Then, as the years went on, in the early 2000s, they held a national event which was called Conventions for Women in the year 2002, where they allowed women to speak as a public speaker in the address. So they were from the first people to introduce this. So they came and brought women on the stage to be the da'is. And they said this was from equality between men and women. So they brought this. And from those women that they had doing this was a woman that's well known. She's known on the news and as well known as speaking on the name of Islam. Linda Sarsour. She is a woman that is more like a woman political activist and a big figure in ICNA. A woman that, if you just read her tweets or what she says online, it shows what she's upon. When a man who refused, who was a baker in America, refused to bake a cake to celebrate the marriage of same-sex marriage, because of religious objection, these people were hostile towards him and said, "Why did you do so?" And his affair was raised to the court, and the Supreme Court ruled in favor of this man. But because of a religious objection, that there's no blame on this man. So Linda, she comes and comments on this ruling of the Supreme Court for this man. We are going backwards. As if this man was in the wrong for excusing himself for religious objection. And this woman, she's a woman that speaks, where we speak in regards to this affair, that she was taken in an interview by the presenter, the Shi'i who has admitted on his own tongue, Mahdi Hassan. He was interviewing Linda and Siraj Wahhaj. And this was posted by ISNA, an ISNA of America, in 2017. In the month of March, you can hear what she says of other beliefs. When she was asked about the affair of people being different groups of Shia and Sunnis, let's see what she has to say.
And I said this earlier today, and I say this to you, that as long as someone in my Muslim community loves my God, as long as they love my prophet, I don't want to have a big debate about what you believe and what I believe. As long as you believe that I need to be safe, you need to be safe, that you need to have livelihood, I'll follow whatever Islam I want to follow, you follow whatever Islam you want to follow, and let us live with some kind of unity. Why?
So she's saying this in front of Siraj Wahhaj, and he's agreeing to this, and Mahdi Hassan in support of his question. She says that as long as a person believes in my God and loves my prophet, then I don't have a problem of what they believe in. They can believe in whatever methodology or have any belief. This is the likes of the da'wah of ICNA. And they come with these emotions. They say the Islamophobes, they don't distinguish between if you're a Sunni or Shi'i. We don't look from that angle. We realize that many of the Shi'as are the cause for Islamophobia that's hitting the Sunnis more, because they're ascribing Daesh and ISIS to the Sunnis falsely. And they are ascribing people as Wahhabist, extremists, which is causing this. So these are the same people that are accusing us and pointing the fingers for us to become victims of Islamophobia, and yet we wanted to work with them. And you can hear in the same year Siraj Wahhaj promoting this woman. Siraj Wahhaj is another well-known speaker and member for ICNA, and as well he was a former vice president for ISNA of America. You can hear what he says.
I'm recommending to all of you, don't go back home. This is your home.
So when he's speaking about America, he was telling the people, do not go back to your homelands to seek a better lifestyle to suit certain things that are a person's religion. But he says to stay here. This is how he starts off. And you can hear how he goes on to speak.
Stay here and fight. How do you fight? How do you fight? I said, Yasir Qadri is a scholar. But we have Muslims in our ranks, are real heroes. Can I tell you a real hero in our ranks? A Muslim sister named Linda Sarsor. She's a hero. She's teaching us how to fight back. I watched her in Faiza Ali in New York City when they were demonstrating and they were arrested, and I was proud of them when they were being arrested, taken to jail because they were fighting.
So this is all in ICNA, being applauded and being supported. You can listen more what he says.
The people in this country, America, they know how to fight back. They know how to organize. And Linda was part of a group of organizing women all over the world.
So the incident that he's referring to, that Linda organized on Women's National Day to march and to demonstrate and to block the traffic. And this is what Siraj Wahhaj is encouraging and supporting, that our women go and block the roads and block the traffic and be even exposed to being arrested and be harmed. This is what he's supporting, and he's referring to her as a Muslim hero.
She did it. She's one of us. She's one of us, and she's an activist. Umar Suleiman is an activist.
And Umar Suleiman was the one that encouraged online for this march with Linda, so he's part of this affair.
Know how to fight back. They ain't running away. They're not eating no rabbit meat. You know what that means. Later on I'll explain what rabbit meat is.
So you can see he's going to show that this is some form of bravery, and as if she's a hero that people look up to and take as a role model.
We from Brooklyn. Linda and me, we from Brooklyn. Brooklyn don't eat no rabbit meat. Brooklyn know how to fight back.
So you can hear this is a fair, it's not something that we should be silent about. For verily, if we're silent, we're going to see soon our young sisters and our women going out in the streets, protesting and displaying themselves in a way where it's going to perhaps expose them to harm. And we know this is not correct. For this reason, we must clarify. And Sheikh Saleh Fawzan, he was asked in this audio that I'm going to play regarding clarifying the likes of these mistakes that happen from du'ats and compiling them, and so as a form of advice. We'll hear his answer, inshallah.
أحسن الله إليكم. هذا سائل يقول: هل ما يقوم به أحد طلبة العلم من تتبع أخطاء بعض الدعاة وجمعها وإخراجها في أشرطة بحيث يخصص لكل داعية شريطا يذكر فيه أخطاءه وهفواته، هل هذا من المنهج الصحيح؟
إذا كان القصد من هذا بيان الحق وبيان الخطأ فهذا طيب، هذا من الدعوة إلى الله.
So after he was asked if a student of knowledge who follows up the mistakes of some of the du'at, then compiles it and distributes it in tape form, if this is from the manhaj of Salaf, so he said if the intention of the person is to clarify the truth and clarify the mistake, then this is good. This is from da'wah to Allah.
أننا نبين الأخطاء لأجل أن لا يقع الناس فيها. أما إذا كان القصد التشهي والتشفي من الشخص والتنقص للشخص هذا لا يجوز. هذا لا يجوز. نعم.
So Sheikh Saleh Fawzani says that we clarify the mistake so that people do not fall into it. He goes, however, if the intention of the person is to please his own desires and to seek revenge against others and to degrade the honor of others, and this is not permissible. So if it's done out of a way to guide the people from not following the mistakes of some of these du'ats, then it's legislated. For that reason, from the first to clarify these affairs was Abu Uwais, rahimahullah. As when I met him in the early 2000s, was known that he would warn from Siraj Wahhaj and from this methodology thereupon, and also ICNA and ISNA. And Siraj Wahhaj is someone that we're going to read more about and his role with this affair. But we just want to clarify this, the other group that he was associated with, where his ISNA is another group that was established as well in that similar time of ICNA, around 1981. It was groups from the Ikhwan al-Muslimin who had control of some of the MSAs. They came together to unify all the different Islamic organizations, and they called it ISNA. They called it ISNA, where they unified and became together, and was founded by members who are from the Muslim Brotherhood. And even there's any evidence of at the very beginning, in the 80s, where they appointed presidents of ISNA from members of the Muslim Brotherhood of each state to be in there. So this is how it originally started, and history attests to this. No one could deny this. And then later on, they became in a worsened state, where they became just calling into not clarifying your beliefs under the affair of interfaith. and unity amongst the Abrahamic faiths. And even in recent times, if you go on their Facebook, the former president of ISNA, he met with the Pope and several leaders of interfaith, of Orthodox, Protestant, Christian leaders, Sunni, Shi'i. All of that, they say, on their affair, to display unity and understanding among the great Abrahamic faiths. So we know that for us, we don't establish violence and oppression, but at the same time we preserve our identity, that our religion is different from their religion. And we know ما كان إبراهيم يهوديا ولا نصرانيا ولكن كان حنيفا مسلما. Ibrahim, it's not ascribed to him Judaism or Christianity, but Islam. وَسَمَّاكُمُ الْمُسْلِمِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِ. It is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that gave him Islam in that title. So to ascribe what these people believe of associate partners to other than Allah, with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as an Abrahamic faith, and this is incorrect. And if you want to show that you're different from the extremist groups, there's ways of doing that without hiding your Muslim identity. Condemn ISIS, condemn extremism, but do not go to a level where you cannot say, Ya ayyuhal kafirun, la a'budu ma ta'budun. O disbelievers, I do not worship what you worship. Clarifying that there's a difference between my religion and your religion in fundamentals, in real concrete matters, that when it comes to religious affairs, we are different in belief. Yes, we do not oppress, we don't commit what these people are doing of extremism, but at the same time we preserve what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has established for us. As well, the ISNA version in Canada. ISNA, as well as founded by the Muslim Brotherhood. It's well known for years for the elementary that it established. And it has 3 branches, ISNA of Canada. Their main one is the one in the Mississauga, as well the one in Jami Mosque in recent times of this year, or in the passing year 2019, where they had an anniversary titled ISNA Canada Jami Mosque, the oldest mosque in Toronto, the 50th anniversary, where they celebrated our anniversary. This is not from what we know of the scholars of the past that they will celebrate anniversaries. If you look, this is something taken from the Christians, that they celebrate anniversaries of how long their churches have been established for. As well, from what they established of different anniversaries, if you go on their website, is the Quebec City mosque attack, where they establish festivals and get-togethers to do an anniversary, as they said, for this gathering. We know this is not correct. We can display our sadness for what has occurred of oppression and wrongness without having to innovating and coming with something new. How many people, how many mosques have been attacked? How many people have been harmed all over the world? And we do not do anniversaries. What is this? Why is it specifically for this mosque? The signs show that it's political. So this mosque is that which inclines for these affairs. As well, in the past year, 2019, December, they promoted Yasir Qadi with words that you'll be stunned of what they said. They said on their Twitter, do not miss Jum'ah on Friday, December 20th. At ISNA Mississauga, arrive before 12 noon to be enlightened by a special khutbah from world-recognized master scholar, Dr. Yasir Qadi. Subhanallah. Master scholar Dr. Yasir Qadi, a man who openly says that he's writing books against Salafiyah. He has one on the way, a book that he's writing to defame Salafism, and a man who resembles Salafiyah to the Protestants of the Christians. A man who even has issues with matters from our belief. He has casted doubts regarding the existence of Ya'juj or Ma'juj. So you can listen to some of the words that what he says, Yasir Qadhi.
I'm actually writing an academic paper which has been going on for many years. The differences between Ibn Taymiyyah and Ibn Abdul Wahhab, and there are profound differences. Of them, the most important one, Ibn Taymiyyah did not make takfir of his opponents that did the same things that the opponents of Ibn Abdul Wahhab did, and he made takfir and made them halal them. So, to respond to part one of your question, I have to admit, I no longer consider myself to be a follower of Ibn Abdul Wahhab, where I used to 15 years ago. But 10 years ago, around 10 years, more than a decade ago.
So here, Yasir Qadhi, in recent times, he clarifies in an interview that he's showing that Imam Muhammad Abdul Wahhab was a takfiri. This is his whole talk about why he left following Imam Muhammad Abdul Wahhab, writing a book to say that he's different from Shaykh Islam ibn Taymiyyah. And we know that this is a well-known allegation from the Ikhwan Muslimin. It's found that they will attack Imam Muhammad Abdul Wahhab from times that go back, accusing him of takfir, accusing him of this. And when you look, it's not the issue with Imam Muhammad Abdul Wahhab, it's the issue with Yasir Qadhi, of the topic of grave worshipping, and understanding the statements of Shaykh Islam ibn Taymiyyah. And he himself, he says there's no scholar, in the same video, same audio, no scholar has more knowledge than him regarding Imam Muhammad Abdul Wahhab. SubhanAllah, with all boldness. And he said there's no scholar in the world, with those words, that has more knowledge than him regarding Imam Muhammad Abdul Wahhab. Yani a man who just said, I'm recent in the maybe 15 years, 10 years, look into the matter. For scholars who have studying Imam Muhammad Abdul Wahhab for 40 years, 50 years, you have more knowledgeable than them? You have more knowledge? It shows you that people, some of these individuals have been taken by self-amazement. And he's the same one in recent times who has introduced a course that he encourages the people to join the Muslims, of taking a course that's mainly from an Orientalist, to learn your deen from an Orientalist. So this is what he calls to. Attack taking from Imam Muhammad Abdul Wahhab and go take from Orientalist. It's unfortunate. And this is the people that ISNA is promoting. And even ISNA of America, you go on their Twitter, they say in this month or in soon, Yasir Qadhi will be in town. As well from the speakers of ISNA, both Canada and America, who they promote, is a well-known speaker, Nu'man Ali Khan. And you can hear how Nu'man Ali Khan, how he speaks regarding the topic of Aqidah.
But don't you want to have the right Aqidah? I was like, yeah, I do. So maybe I should find out where Allah talks about Aqidah in the Quran. Let me find the ayah of Aqidah. There isn't one. Because the word Aqidah doesn't exist in the Quran. If that word was that important, it would be where? So I have this really deviant idea, I'll tell you. It's a really crazy idea. I think the things Allah talks about are more important.
So here, when he mentioned that someone came to him as an ICNA, this is just an example, there's more examples, where a person came and just offered him to read a book of Aqidah or to teach the people Aqidah because people are falling to shirk. And he says, because I don't find the word Aqidah in the Quran, I'll just suffice with the Quran. And also he said that the Aqidah books are problematic, learning about different groups. He said, I'm just going to suffice with the Quran. And this is something strange and bizarre. We know that the scholars of the past, even going back to the Sahabas, they warned from deviant groups that are not found in the Quran. So are you going to disregard the words of the Sahabas? Are you going to disregard the groups that appeared after the revelation has ended, all because it wasn't found in the Quran? This is just a doubt for Nu'man Ali Khan to continue to working with everyone. And you can find that their get-togethers at ICNA and ISNA had just become a comedy. You can even listen to how Siraj Wahhaj speaks about Nu'man Ali Khan at their gatherings together.
Now, I was hoping that my good buddy Nu'man Ali Khan would be here by now, and he's not here. I want to talk about him. Because Sheikh Nu'man Ali Khan, are you in the audience? You got to hurry up, get up here. I want to talk about you. Because Sheikh Nu'man Ali Khan, you know him? Beautiful brother? Well, be careful. He's the new terrorist. Oh, yeah.
So this is how it has become. You can find even in the talks of Nu'man Ali Khan how he narrates and shares a hadith with adding additions from himself just for the sake of comedy. That are not found in the hadith, that are not found in the exegesis. This is not someone that we should be promoting. And ICNA and ISNA continue. And recent times, both Siraj Wahhaj and Nu'man Ali Khan, they went to the RIS conference, Revival of Islamic Spirit, where from the people that was invited, I mentioned that on their website, it says a list of world-renowned scholars and speakers such as Maulana Tariq Jamil, someone that inclines to Jama'at Tabligh, Dr. Sayyid Hussein Nasr, a man that indirectly attacks Sheikh Islam ibn Taymiyyah, and there's even audios of this year's, Sheikh Muhammad al-Yaqubi, al-Maturidi, subhanAllah. And they're going to have a talk at a center with someone that's a Maturidi, and they're applauding one another and supporting one another. Imam Siraj Wahhaj, Imam Zayd Shakir. And Imam Zayd Shakir, for those who do not know him, they could just listen just to a few words of what this man says, and it would shock you. And just a few words of what this man said when he was interviewed after the RS program, and listen to the words that he says.
We're happy that Jesus came into the world. And this year, 2015, the season of the Christmas season is also the season whereas Muslims are celebrating the birth of Muhammad. So we say we have a double Mawlid. Mawlid or Milad, meaning just the birth, someone's birth. The birth of Jesus and the birth of Muhammad. So, it's great to be here at Christmas time, and I think the message of Christmas, the message of peace, and that's the message of Islam.
This is information where he misleads, and he's not correct in saying that we celebrate in December at Christmas time as well with the Christians the birth of Jesus. That's not correct. Firstly, Jesus was not born in that time. Even non-Muslims have even attested to that the dates don't go back to that. Secondly, we don't celebrate on what's correct of the belief of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, the birthday of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So this is the likes of the speakers. As well, they said Sheikh Abdul Hakim Murad, a well-known Sufi who attacked Sheikh Islam ibn Taymiyyah. It said as well Dr. Yasir Qadhi. And Abdul Hakim Murad, and he has an audio where he tries to link ISIS back to the Salafis, falsely. And Dr. Yasir Qadhi, and it says Imam Umar Sulaiman. And then as well, this is the affair of some of these da'is where they have Hamza Yusuf there supporting one another. They have musical instruments being played, the burda, the poem that has wordings of shirk. Siraj Wahhaj, all of these people are there supporting one another. Nu'man Ali Khan, well-known speakers of ISNA, and is promoted. Even members of ISNA go there. And Abdul Hakim Murad, from these speakers, he tries to say that Imam Ahmed would incline to the Sufis. Imam Ahmed would incline to the Sufis. So this is another false allegation. And another thing too about ISNA is in the year 2013, they had a convention with a lot of these Sufis, Hamza Yusuf, Zaid Shakir, and they had as well Tariq Ramadan, the grandson of the founder of Ikhwan al-Muslimin, Hassan al-Banna, a well-known Ikhwani. They're there supporting and mentioning this. So we can hear these affairs.
One of my teachers, he was being surrounded by a group of people, and he was in a car, and that the people were taunting.
So here is another affair that some of the examples of the Sufis that these people had at the convention is a man who he attests and is proud to say that he's a Sufi. Yahya Rodis, he gives it a joke about how his teachers, people would criticize him for being a Sufi, and this is how he responds.
Car around him, Sufi, Sufi, Sufi. And he was in the car with his hand raised saying, Ameen, Ameen, Ameen. With his understanding of Sufism being that of Ihsan, 1/3 of Islam. On a more serious note,
so this is something to pay attention to. As well, not only Sufis, even reached to a level where Siraj Wahhaj and a lot of these da'is, they even work with Rafida, some of the extremists of the 12ers, the Ja'faris. In the year 2009, the former president of ISNA, as well Siraj Wahhaj, from the core members of ISNA, and others, they aligned to give a talk with Imam Sayyid Naqvi. And the flyer is available, the talks are still available. A well-known man from the 12ers and the Ja'faris working alongside this. So this is where it reached to. People that have corrupted Aqidah, we work with them. As well from the people who they work with, ISNA, and they support, and even in IRS, is Suhaib Webb. You can listen to some of the words he says.
I don't subscribe to the Salafi manhaj. I'm Sufi, Ash'ari, Azhari.
So he says, I don't ascribe to the Salafi manhaj. I am Sufi, Ash'ari, Azhari. And you can listen more what he says.
One of the issues that comes up every year is al-Mawlid. Ihtifal bi-Mawlid Sayyid al-Awwaleen wal-Akhirin. And what happens, we find, sometimes the community, people get upset, they start to argue, start to fight, and they forget this important lesson. We should differ without being disagreeable. So this issue of Mawlid, to celebrate the Mawlid or not celebrate the Mawlid, first of all, this is an issue of ijtihad. We have to make this very clear. This is an issue where the scholars differed from the very early days.
So this, you can hear his words coming with the principles of Ikhwan al-Muslimin, where we just excuse our differences and work together. And he makes the issue of the birthday of the Prophet ﷺ a matter of ijtihad, which is not correct. That the scholars, the earlier scholars, did not differ on this. It was something innovated by a deviant sect. And history attests to that. So, and also this man, in some of his audios, he said, I was accused if I'm trying to Americanize Islam. He says, yes, I'm trying to Americanize Islam. Openly. And as well, he's well known to come with fabricated narrations. There's many examples of that. And he, Suhaib Webb, in a conference that he was invited to, you can see some of his comments online. We commented after accepting the invitation of the flyer with the following words. He said, deeply concerned with the lack of female scholars and speakers at this event. I will not attend if there is not fair representation of people from the Ummah. Being that there's not women, female speakers, publicly speaking on stage, he's not going to attend. It reached that level. I'm sure that this was a mistake on part of the organizers, and I hope they correct it. Until that happens, I will not be attending. Female inclusion is a part of our faith and practice. And what is all left for these people is to include women to give khutbahs. This is where they're leading. My apologies to those who I hurt by not asking a question before accepting an invitation. And the people who give them these doubts is the likes of Nu'man al-Khan. You can listen to some of the doubts that he has put forward to make women come on stage and to be those who display themselves in an immodest way, sitting amongst men in a panel with perhaps what they wear of not full clothing, just a skirt to their knees, and this is where they say that they're following the early tradition. Listen to the words of Nu'man al-Khan.
There's this conversation about the place of women in the house of Allah, and as a matter of fact, in Islamic history, for example, one of the teachers of Imam Ibn Hajar Asqalani, rahimahullah, is a muhadditha who's actually a female, and she was requested to come and teach him and another 400 or so ulama hadith in the Prophet's mosque, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. The muhaddithin narrate that she used to put the Bukhari on the grave of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam at the head place and sit there and teach in Masjid Nabawi to 400 men and women. A woman is teaching hadith in Masjid Nabawi to 400 men and women from the front of the masjid. That's our history.
So you can see how he ascribes a narration that is baseless. Yes, some of our mashayikh, they had female teachers, but not as he described. They had it modest. Some of them was behind a barrier. Some of them was with the presence of their mahram. Some of them was in a manner that was with shyness and suitable for just perhaps taking a hadith or so, but to display a woman where she comes on stage displaying her beauty and wearing a fashionable hijab, or what these refer to as a convertible hijab, with her dress to her knees and joking and laughing with men on stage, and doing all sorts of affairs of softening her voice, and then say that this is ascribed to the scholars, this is incorrect. As well, what happens on ISNA is music that you would be shy to even play. But just for the fact that people can hear for themselves, we'll play it, and we'll ask the brothers to bear with it. For verily this is something that's of evil, but just for the fact that people have to hear it, we'll play it.
Songs other than devotional songs. But tonight, there's two reasons. One, that we see the unity and diversity at ISNA, which brings people together from all walks of life. Come on, people, give yourselves a round of applause. And we celebrate not only the diversity within Islam, but also the diversity within the United States. And there's one other reason. He and I started the band together, but tonight at midnight, what time is it? It's going to be my friend's birthday.
So you can see the event. You can see the event of how the affair is on stage with ISNA. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make this eye-opener for all of us. So they mentioned that someone's celebration of a birthday as well with the music. This is at ISNA, where they're ascribing it back to Islam. So we don't want to play any further. Wallahi, the music that they're going to go on to play is a shame to see that Muslims, they're encouraging this and supporting. And then when people criticize them, they come on YouTube and make a video called the Protestants, the Salafis are like the Protestants of the Christians, or they're the bid'ah police, or they're the fake sheikhs, and that their good sheikhs are called the halal sheikhs. All of this is sad. And from the people that support all of this, you find that many of the things that are occurring, who he supports, is Siraj Wahhaj. Siraj Wahhaj, he's not a small character in all this. And he's someone that has other issues that are greater. A man who knew the issues of Nation Islam, and then you can see what he did in recent times regarding them.
And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide Minister Farrakhan to Islam.
So here's a clip where Siraj Wahhaj, he admits that Louis Farrakhan, the minister of Nation Islam, well-known figure, to guide him to Islam. And you can hear what he said to him later on, after that.
Allahu Akbar. Minister Farrakhan, my brother. Brother Minister, may Allah bless you.
You can hear more as well.
We have to bring the minister on. But I wish somehow we could say that if you want to hear the minister, you got to pay some more money. But I can't, Brother Minister, I can't do it. I want to do it, but I'm tempted, but we can't. And Brother Minister Farrakhan, I want to thank you again for all the great work that you do, for your leadership, all that Allah has blessed you with. Looking forward to hear you. And the only reason I'm stopping now is I want to hear you. May Allah bless you. Assalamu alaikum.
So this is a man well known for these affairs. And he first started out giving khutbahs on Jum'ah on the Savior Day for Nation Islam. He said, I'm doing that for that benefit. Then later on, it gradually gets worse and worse and worse. And we see he states into this affair where he even gives talks at ICNA and other places about Black Lives Matter and is obsessed with this affair. He's obsessed with this affair. And sad. So this is just an example of the affair of ICNA and ISNA, as well another organization that they're linked to is the MAC organization, Muslim Association of Canada. They're a huge organization. They're found in over 14 cities across Canada. They have like 15 community centers. They're over in different places. Generally, we know that people that have been influenced by Ikhwan Muslimin, they've been working hard to show their presence and establishing and doing fundraising for a long time. So we know that these people are doing this, but at the end of the time, you find that they're waging war against the Sunnah and its people. Something just I wanted to mention as a side before we end. There's an app called Muslim Central app. This app was founded in South Africa by Mufti Menk and his partner. And they put on there 120 Muslim speakers, and it's starting from the year 2013. And who they put is the likes of all these people of ICNA and ISNA and those who suit to them. And you find that this app is going around. It's as if it's like a list to show you who are the deviates with them. Wallahi, if you look at a lot of the people on there, and it has on there Jonathan Brown, and Jonathan Brown, you could hear some of his words just regarding basic issues.
A typical Salafi will have a beard, kind of a longish beard, oftentimes unkempt beard, sort of.
So you can see his words, how he displays the Salafis and the affair of their beard. And here is a talk just belittling Salafiyah, and look how he speaks to and displays to the kuffar how the Salafis are.
Almost like Amish. Actually, the Salafi beard is very similar to an Amish beard in the United States. I think they get the image of the scary Muslim. Right? So, whereas if you see, let's say, an Egyptian or a Tunisian man who's walking around clean-shaven wearing a suit, he looks familiar. Whereas someone who's very practicing devoted Salafi will usually be wearing like a robe and have a beard and maybe have very short hair. So it's something that looks very foreign and scary. It fits with all the images of the crazy Muslim fundamentalists that you see in movies or on TV shows.
طيب, so this is this man who is promoted, and you wouldn't be surprised. This is coming from an app that was established by Mufti Menk. It was, it's not far, to speak about the beard. Orthodox Jews have beard. Other religions have beard for religious purposes. It's found in early scriptures. So to defame people that are holding on to things of principles of the religion, or to say that they have this or that, or they look scary, this is not correct. As well, you can listen to Jonathan Brown, how he was, when he was asked, what's your stance about Ahmadiyya?
Well, I don't really know how to distinguish my position as a scholar from my position personally, so I'll just say what my position is based on what I know, or what I think I know. I don't agree with the claim that Mirza Ghulam Ahmad was the return of Jesus. I don't really know a lot about it, but just until I was given pretty good evidence, I wouldn't believe it. But, I consider Ahmadi Muslims to be Muslims like other Muslims. What? Yeah, that's my own personal position. There's too many problems in the world to kick people out of Islam for this.
So you can hear his answer, that why he justifies that he doesn't make takfir on Ahmadiyya is because he says there's too many problems in the Muslim world to remove people out of Islam. As if the fear goes back to him. These are the people that are being promoted. And even on ICNA and ISNA, and even recently Yasir Qadhi gave a talk alongside him. Siraj Wahhaj, with this person. And as well from the people that are on this app as the speakers is Abdurrahim McCarthy. And you can listen to what he said in the year 2018.
Get your fatwa custom.
And these are words you might find funny, but he's actually mocking our scholars.
Made today the way you want it, with the ruling you want, for just $19.99. That's right, just $19.99 at scholarsfordollars.com. Apply now and get 2 fatwas for the price of 1. That's right, 2 fatwas for just.
And we're gonna play his speech to who he's referring to of the scholars.
$19.99. This is a limited offer. Terms and conditions may apply. Well, we might find something like this to be hilarious, to be funny. The reality is, the political stances that we see from the scholars in the days that we live in is far from being funny. In fact, the reality is that people no longer trust the scholars because of the political stance that we're seeing from individuals today.
And you can listen more who he speaks about who these scholars are.
And we see that these scholars today, who have issued these ridiculous fatwas, may Allah guide them, that they are people who have failed the test. Many of them who have millions of followers on social media, and we thought that they were true scholars and they were, people who were upon good and upon the way of the Salaf, of our early pious predecessors of this ummah, that in reality they were just du'at. They were just du'at.
These people, this came at a time where many of these people, Abdurrahim McCarthy and his group, wanted the scholars to take some of their position towards what was happening in Saudi Arabia or in other places. And little do they know that our scholars, they advise and they take the best means in private. And if you can listen to audios where the members of Lajnat al-Da'ima, they say, Wallahi la naskut, we don't keep quiet. We advise regarding mistakes and errors. But they do it with wisdom. They're not like these people who come and to make people have doubts in our scholars by saying scholars for dollars. This is a wording that came mainly from the Ikhwan Muslimin, resembling the menace. As well as from the people that are the speakers of this app, is Abdurrahman Murperfi, Yasir Fahmi. And these are two individuals that they're linked and close to the Sufism, and even you can see them on their retweeting, supporting Salman Auda. And Yasir Fahmi will tell you straight, at ICNA, what he at the conventions, what he believes in and what he inclines to, as well as who the speaker is on this is Bona Muhammad. You can see him and others on comedy, certain comedy that you would think a person would be shy to even add Allah's name to it. Speaking about things that relate to the washroom and then saying right after it, takbir. A person would be shy. And as well from the speakers is Arij, who we all know here. As well as says from the speakers, Ali Barghouthi, who doesn't know much about all of these affairs. You just find that he's going and supporting these places. And from the speakers who they have is a well-known Deobandi. He even says it. I'm a Deobandi, a person, and Hassan Ali, the Asian one. He comes and he says, I'm a Deobandi. These are the people that are being promoted and shared to refer to and listen to. It's unfortunate. We should be cautious and tell the people that these mistakes, people need to be alert of them. And as Shaykh Ibn Baz, rahimahullah, we will conclude with this. He said, if the people of truth did not speak out in clarification of the haqq, then the people of error would remain upon their mistakes. Others would blindly follow them in that, and the sin of withholding the truth would fall back on those who remain silent. From his fatwa. And so we need to clarify, and even in particular, Siraj Wahhaj is coming, he's as well going to ISNA in March, ISNA here of Canada. So these type of speakers, people need to be cautious of them and tell their families. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide us all and to make us of those who hear a speech and follow the best of it. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين سبحانك اللهم بحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت ونستغفرك ونتوب إليك.